Hey everyone, it is Monday. That means we kick off our expert series strong with Greg Dickerson. How you doing, sir?
Doing good, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I've been looking forward to this show since last week when you and I talked, and that's because we are going to talk deals, creative
Deals.
deals. Something more creative than just hey, it's listed in the MLS. I'll pay asking. Done. We're going to talk creative deals done over our careers, and just talk about what it means to get in the mix, put all the pieces together, and talk about some wins on the other side. So you had a pretty interesting deal that you shared last week that I want to kick off with. You want to kind of tell everybody how that came to be?
Yeah, so we were talking about, in that last show, my first hotel deal where I bought a hotel property, tore it down, and built those 3 12-bedroom houses.
Yep.
My version of short-term vacation rentals that I sent you those, and I sent you that 16-bedroom.
Yeah, I replied, "Are you sure these are houses?"
Yeah, they are, man. So, I mean, you can put, 30, 40 people in those things. And,
Wow.
so that's where I came from, giant, oceanfront vacation rental houses. So essentially, even, back then, I didn't even know what it was, but essentially what I had done was a wholesale deal, right?
Right.
So I'd put the property under contract. My next door neighbor had it. They were going to develop the property and they got cold feet and decided not to do it. I don't know why. I mean, I was kind of like, they were very high level guys, sophisticated investors, been in that area a long time. And for them to not want to do it, I was like, what's going on here? So then I just said, you know what, whatever, go for it.
Yeah.
So I was young. I didn't care. It was $10,000 for the contract to buy the land. It was 3 lots, 3 oceanfront lots, and that the hotel was sitting on, already platted, already, everything was easy there. You just tear it down and you build. So there wasn't a whole lot of, hurdles from a zoning standpoint. And I got creative in order to create the 12 bedrooms because nobody had ever done anything like that in that area. So I had to create a little packaged, like mini sewer treatment plant to treat the effluent from the house because everything was on septic down there. So lot coverage is a big issue.
Okay.
You can only build on about 30 to 40% of the lot. So you have to have big lots.
Yeah.
And when you're oceanfront, part of that is in the CAMA area, which is the coastal area management area. So you can't build within that area. You got to set back from that 50, 60 feet. So
Wow.
Very tricky environment to build in. And, so you need big lots to be able to do something. So you reduce that or you increase your lot coverage area and increase your footprint by using these little packaged, treatment plants for the, for the wastewater. So anyways, so I get the contract on this thing. I put up a $10,000 earnest money deposit. While I'm working along all this, my realtor at the time, I told him what I was doing. Said, hey, if you know anybody wants to buy, a 12-bedroom house from me, turnkey package, let me know. Turns out he had a client that wanted to do all 3. And this guy was investing down there. So he came to me and basically bought the contract from me for $100,000 to, buy those oceanfront lots. And then I built him the 3 12-bedroom houses all at the same time and, made another $100,000 per house on that. So it turned into about a $400,000 deal. But the assignment of the contract alone was $100,000. And see, I didn't even know about what, I didn't know about wholesaling. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
To me, it was just a part of the business. So what happened was I took that and started creating a business model out of that. So what I did was I was like, man, the light bulb went off. So I went around my area and I started buying up.
One sec. I want to, because I don't think we've done a good job of just celebrating how big a leap you took first. We'll get to the business model and how that became a thing for you. But again, right? Remind the audience where you were when you got the opportunity to buy you get $10,000 for the option to buy the land. You weren't Greg Dickerson per se. You were a handyman, right?
Yeah, I just started out. I think I was building some small spec houses at the time, but yeah, this was, so 97 is when I started, 97, 98 as a handyman remodeling contractor. So this was 2000.
Okay.
When this happened. So this was 3 or 4 years later. So yeah, I wasn't even doing more than probably a couple $1 million a year in my business. Just started, to build little spec houses.
Yeah.
Didn't know how to invest in real estate. Didn't know what a wholesale or a flip was. Never
didn't know what
any
oceanfront was. Didn't do anything.
Well, that I knew. I was in the area, but
But you hadn't done development there.
No.
Right.
I'd never built a house from the ground up bigger than probably 1,200 square feet at the time, 1,400 square feet.
So then your neighbor, was that, your neighbor comes to you with this deal because he knows you're in real estate, right? And, oh, by the way,
I didn't have a license yet.
Yeah.
I didn't have a realtor's license, none of that. This is before all that.
And then, as I remember the story when we were talking off camera last week, your neighbor's partner was some kind of government official or city official that.
Yeah, he was a county commissioner, and he had a building company. So he was a
Yeah,
builder. He'd been building down there for 20 years. And he had a real
exactly.
estate company and property management company. I mean, he was a big deal in Dare County, you know,
And
down
that's what I wanted to talk about. So this
there. Yeah.
gentleman and his partner got this deal. They felt good about it. And then something scared them. Something made
I
them
don't know
back.
what it was. So, and then, so my neighbor, he owned the Dairy Queens, and he owned, you know, 3 oceanfront hotels, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, and then his partner was a sophisticated developer, been building and developing down there for years. So yeah, they got cold feet and said, "Hey, do you want this deal?" I'm sitting there going, you know, and they said,
Huh.
"Give me $10,000 and the contract's yours." And I'm thinking, well, he's going to be my neighbor, so he wouldn't just flat out cheat me, would he? You know, this is what I'm thinking, you know? And I'm just like, why would they be doing this? And I just, you know, he said, you know, he just didn't want to do it. He got cold feet, too much money,
Yeah.
you know, to, you know, because 1.2 million for the purchase. And then you had to, you know, spend, you know, at the time, $800,000 a piece to build a nice house, you know?
Yeah.
So that was another 2.3 million.
Yeah.
And so altogether it was 3 or 4 million bucks. I didn't have that kind of money. Didn't know
Right.
where I would get that kind of money, but I knew the land at $400,000 a lot was worth 600,000 once I, you know,
Yeah.
tore it all down. So I said, let's do it, 10 grand. So I wrote that check, and I don't know, I might have had 100 grand in the bank at the time. That was it, you know?
Yeah. And again, this reason I wanted to go back to this is because that lots of people get in that situation. And I don't know what the odds are, but I'd guess it's 80-20. 80% of people don't go forward, right? They look at the successful builder, 20-year vet, county commissioner, and go, ooh, if he doesn't want it, I don't want it, right? I think
Something must be wrong.
something has to be wrong, right?
Yeah.
So again, taking a leap of faith, betting on yourself, that had to feel good. And then, so let's just pretend it's a month. Let's say you sign the 10 grand on I don't know, what is it, July 1st. Then you go to your real estate friend, like July 2nd, and say, hey, if you know anybody, and then you hear on July 8th. I mean, what was the time frame? Because it wasn't long, right? You were still in contract.
Yeah. It was probably within 30 days all this happened. So,
Right.
you know, I got the contract and I started. It took a couple of weeks just to get it back. So when I
Okay.
put the 10,000 up and I gave it to the attorney, I took it to his attorney's office, dropped it off, and then I didn't hear anything for like 2 weeks. I'm like, what's going on? I gave
Where's
you the
my
10
10
grand. Where's
grand?
my contract? Yeah, where's my contract? And I was like, what the heck? So finally, you know, I didn't know back then that, you know, attorneys don't return your phone calls and you know, respond,
Yeah.
you know. So it took me a while to figure that one out. But anyways, I finally get the contract back, and I don't even remember what time of year this was. But I finally get the contract back, so I start working my process and
Yeah.
doing my due diligence. And you know, as I'm doing things, I'm talking to my realtor about it. So this is all within a 30-day period.
Right.
And he's like, "Hey, I got a client that's looking at stuff." And this guy, he owned the Pella Window franchise in Virginia. And
Okay.
he was down there doing some investing and buying properties and doing things. Him and his partner. His partner was a builder developer up in Williamsburg, and so they were doing a bunch of stuff. So anyways, yeah, the realtor goes, "Yeah, I got this guy, man. He'll, you know, he might be interested." Turned out he wanted all 3 lots. So yeah, this is
Wow.
like a 30-day period. And you know, I'd never even like torn a building down at that point. I had no clue. But you know, what I did do was I knew there were people there that did, so I hired them to come work for
Right.
me and help me build this company. So I had a couple of people working for me that had done these things. Then I had my engineer, you know, civil engineer that did all my site planning and stuff, and he was looking at it. We were working, you know, because it was supposed to be 8-bedroom houses, and
Mhm.
back then, the more bedrooms you can get, the more rent you can bring in, the more value you can create, just like multifamily.
Sure.
You saw the houses; these things are like apartment buildings.
Oh yeah, they're large.
Yeah. So this was a nice project. So we're working all that while you know, I'm telling my agent about it. So yeah, this all came together within about a 30-day period. So probably 45 days after I put that $10,000 down, the land was closed. I put the 100 grand in the bank, and I started building the houses. I mean, it was that
Wow.
quick.
Yeah.
You know, 30, 45 days. So you know, it was interesting too, because I'd never torn a hotel down before. So what I did was, once we closed on that, I put, you know, the word out to people and put an ad in the paper, because there was no Craigslist back then. There was no
Mhm.
internet. This was all, you know, very small community. I said, look, I'm gonna demolish this hotel. There's TVs, there's beds, there's, you know, furniture. Come get whatever you want.
Wow.
So I did open house, and people came and took everything out of the property. I mean, it was hilarious. it was like, you should have seen people, just hundreds of people running all around the property, grabbing all the furniture. They were taking light bulbs out of the thing. They were taking
Wow.
toilet paper. I mean, it was incredible. So I did it for the community. Look, if you need something, come get it.
Yeah.
So I just kind of gave it away. And that was my, donating back to the community before we tore the building down.
Nice.
So that was pretty interesting, that experience. And that was a model that anything I tore down, I kind of followed from that point on. I said, hey, if you need things, come get it.
Yeah.
And I would give away the furniture and whatever was in the house, the TVs, electronics, and
Wow.
they just had to remove it and take it away.
That is awesome. And again, right, I just want to kind of set this up. You're young in the game. You're in it 3 or 4 years.
Oh yeah.
You take a leap of faith. You work with your network, right? Not only who knows you, but who do they know?
Yeah.
You put $100,000 in your pocket, and I don't know what it takes, but I'm guessing it took 12 to 18 months to build the 3 homes. I'm guessing, yeah.
Well, that was 8 months. We did them in
8 months. Wow.
8 months. Yeah.
So, and then another 8. So in a calendar year, theoretically, you put $400,000 in your pocket because you took a leap of faith on $10,000.
Yeah. I just decided to do it. And I'm going to do the math right now. So this is 2020, and that was probably 2000. That was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I am 53 today. Is my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
So I was 33 years old, 32 years old, never done anything like that, had no investors, no backers, no college education. I just, 3 years into starting my business, and I started, but like I said, I'd hired some good people. So I had some people working for me that I knew could build these houses.
Yeah.
And I knew, man, if I could just get this deal, this would be the beginning of everything. And I was getting ready to build my house. And that's the story of how my house went from being, 5,000 square feet to 7,000 square feet because of that deal. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, yeah. Your wife picked a bigger floor plan, so you needed more space. Yeah. That's how this all starts.
And I was like, well, we can afford it now. So that was interesting. So like I said, what that did was that the light bulb went off, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can tie the land up, flip it to the investor, make a profit, and then build them a house and make more money. And you couldn't get the land unless you built with me. So that's what I started doing, so that was I became so these were finished lots in, subdivisions that were just because the market was escalating and things were hot.
Yeah.
So I didn't even have to develop the land. I would go into, I went into this one subdivision in an area down the Outer Banks called Duck, North Carolina. So everybody's watching, look up Duck, North Carolina. It's a cute little seaside village down there. So I went into this one neighborhood and I tied up like 12 lots. It was the last 12 oceanside lots in this area. Paved street, lots of big houses, and these were just little infill lots. I put them all under contract like I was a developer. I turned around and just flipped the contracts to my investors.
Wow.
And then built them the houses. And I was making $25,000 to $50,000 per lot, just flipping the contract, and then $100,000 per house to build them houses. These were 8-bedroom, houses that were a little different than the 12 bedrooms. And then so I just kept doing that all over the place. I didn't even have to develop anything.
Wow.
I was making the same money if I'd have went in and developed that land and, took all that risk and sold lots. Because, as a developer, back for what those lots were selling for, that's all you'd make would be $25,000 to $50,000 per lot.
Wow. So I just want to make sure I understand, because I love the business model. When you said you went in and tied up 12 of the lots, was that still like the first deal where you would just sign it and then you would, or would you close and then sell them? Because I'm guessing it takes longer to sell 12 lots than it does one.
No, I assigned. So even on the first one, I assigned.
The first one you assigned. Yeah.
Closed.
Right. Even on the 12.
So whoever
wow.
Yeah, I did the same thing on the 12. Yeah, I signed all those contracts. Yeah.
So you had no capital invested other than time.
Nothing. Yeah. Well, I put the earnest money up, so I had to put put the earnest money deposit down on the lots, but that was it. Yeah. And this was
that's amazing.
One seller. So this was the developer. So this was the original developer that had these last 12 lots.
Totally makes sense.
I think I put $5,000 earnest money up, and let me tell you where that money came from. So I was doing a remodel. Okay, I was remodeling the handyman guy. I was doing a remodel for a guy on a house, and I think it was a $150,000 project, right?
Yeah.
The guy came to me and he said, "I'll tell you what." He said, "I'll pay you $125,000 now, right now. Put cash in your pocket. If you'll take the money now instead of $150,000 over the next 4 months as it's done." So I was like, "Dang, I'll do that." So I took that money, and then that's when I went out and tied all those lots up. So I put, I had that $5,000 earnest money, and I had the money in the bank to kind of, so I went to the banks and I'm like, "Loan me the money to buy these lots and build houses." And the bank's like, you're crazy. You're talking about 12 lots at, lot and house package. I think the lots were 150 grand to 200 grand. The houses were, 300,000, 400,000 to build. So it's $500,000,
Yeah.
600,000 per lot.
Per, yeah.
That's 7,200,000. And I'm sitting in front of the bank. Here I am, 32 years old,
Pull up in your pickup truck.
Right. I don't really own anything except my house. I'm like, here, loan me $7.5 million. And they're like, Craig, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I'm like, they appraised for way more. And I'm like, come on, so I was trying to, and they wouldn't do it. So that's when I said, shoot, so then I went to my realtor friend, and this was the year that I paid him 300 grand between these lots and that other deal.
Yeah.
That I said, I'm getting my real estate license,
Yeah.
Those are the commissions he earned on all these deals I was doing,
Yeah,
and he and I did a lot of business together, those few years. So so I, like I said, and that just kind of launched it. It's funny, I'd forgotten all about how I got the money to do that deal. It was from doing that little remodel. The guy paid me early.
Paid you early. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you took a first deal where you took a leap of faith, put 400 grand in your pocket. You rinse and repeat because it worked to the tune of 12 lots. Let's just say you made 25K per lot. Let's just say, so that's 300 grand. And then you made 100 grand per house. That's 1.2 million.
Right.
Yeah. So you're up to 1.9 million and you're still figuring it out.
Yeah. And then just taking all of that and just redeploying. So rich dad, poor dad, what do? You build businesses that generate cash flow to invest in other assets. So
that's amazing.
And then while I'm doing all this, I'm starting a plumbing company, and I'm starting this, and I'm doing the pools, doing all these things. My building company is growing, and I'm hiring people, and just growing. And then next thing I know, we're doing $30 million, and I've got people knocking on my door. Hey, you want to sell your company?
Wow.
That kind of thing. And so it just kind of. And all this was from basically 2001 to 2007. That's when all of this was kind of happening. So it was really a 5 to 6 year period that all of this went from zero, maybe $1 million, to 30 million in terms of a business, and then cash from basically, I don't know, I might have had 100 grand in the bank on that first deal to, 10 million at that point.
Wow, that's an exciting story.
So it's just nuts. It was just nuts. So I was no genius, no rocket scientist. I was just like figuring it out as I went along. And then I did a couple of more little hotel deals, like that, where I'd get this hotel and I'd tear it down and, make 300-400 grand just flipping it basically,
And again, when you say flip it, you're flipping it post tear down?
Yeah. Contract. Yep. So the investor closes, I get my fee.
Yep.
And then I tear it down for them as I'm getting paid to do it. You know? Like they paid for it. I'm just managing it.
That is
I build them houses.
Yeah, that is amazing. Yeah, that's winning 2 or 3 times. You get paid for the contract, then you get a guaranteed profit per house.
Mm-hmm.
I would call that a very successful business model.
It was. And my contracts were cost plus a fixed fee. So you pay me 100 grand and I'd build you the house. You paid all the costs. So my number was just totally, so I knew exactly what I was going to make. There was no guesswork. There was no risk, no downside. And the investor they were making, 100 to 200,000 per house on top of it. Yeah. Because remember, as soon as they were done, this was all pre-2009. Market was just going up and up and up.
Yeah.
So if I built you a house for 500 or 600,000, you could sell it for 7 or 8 as soon as it was done. That's what was going on. It was just nuts. And then I was building some of my own spec houses because of the equity as the builder. When we talked about getting your own general contractor's license, that's one way to leverage it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that, it's a little harder now, but and the market's never been the same since. And I wasn't the only one. I mean, there's a lot of people down there doing deals that we're all kind of like, man, is this real? Because
it feels odd.
Yeah. And it was really amazing because these are cash flow houses. These are short-term rental houses. Yeah. They're almost commercial in residential. Mm-hmm. So anybody can buy them. There was professional property management. So it was just totally turnkey, hands off. You didn't have to do anything.
Wow.
And we would deliver houses, turnkey, furnished, done. You didn't have to do a thing. You didn't have to pick any colors. You didn't have to do anything.
Wow.
You could if you wanted to, but you didn't have to.
Yeah.
So people would come down and see me. We'd put the package together. Like if you were going to build a house with me, you'd come down, see me. I had the land. So you had to get the land through me.
Yep.
And we'd do the deal. You'd write me a check for 50 grand or whatever the deposit was, for 10% of the package, and you'd be off and running. I would line up your financing. I had decorators that would do all the colors, all the selections. They would run it by you wherever you were. Or if you wanted to come down for a weekend, you pick it all out in one weekend, you're gone.
Right.
You're back 8 months later, walking into your done turnkey house that's fully booked for $150,000 to $250,000 for the season.
Wow.
You know, that's how it worked. And then you paid me $800,000 for the package, and now you can flip it for $1 million.
Yeah. So I just got to ask, because I don't know anything about values in that area. What would something like that go for today in crazy world of 2020?
Well, it's back, you know. So
Oh,
what happened was it went up to 2009, then it crashed.
okay.
And, you know, values got cut slam in half to where they were. So the peak of our market was 0405. Most of the country was 0405, 06, somewhere in that time frame. So what happened was 2009, it got cut all the way back to 2000, 2001 level.
Okay.
Before it started jumping up to that 0405 peak.
Got it.
So now it's kind of back to those levels, but it's starting to creep again. And they're having actually right now their biggest year ever down there on the Outer Banks because interest rates. A friend of mine sent a note out today. He's a mortgage lender down there. Conforming rates are 2.8%, no closing costs, no points, no fees, 75% loan to value. You can go 80% if you pay a 0.25 origination fee. Jumbo rates are like 3.25. You know, so conforming down there is 510,000. So anything over 510 is jumbo.
Yeah.
So when we were doing these deals, interest only LIBOR was around 5%.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why stuff was just escalating and just shooting up. I mean, I never would have thought you could get 2 or 3% interest rate.
I never did either. I mean, I remember my first house was 7 1/8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Investment loan. Right. So to think I've had investors get, 3s, you know, that's just,
and then the other
crazy
thing
today.
that people were doing was there was a negative amortization loan. I can't remember what it's called.
Negam. Yeah.
Yeah. So where you could get a really low interest rate. So like say if the rates are 2.8, you could get 1.8.
Shoot, you could get 0.9.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
could get 0.9, and then it would just add to the loan over the years. It would just increase it like a reverse mortgage.
Absolutely.
If you had equity in. So a lot of us were doing those types of deals too. And of course, that's why the mortgage market collapsed.
Yeah. I think when I sold my 8 houses at the peak, I think 7 of the 8 got NAGAM loans. It's the only way you could make it cash flow. Mm-hmm. And all of them lost it at the 2 year, because they were usually 2 and 28s, right? They'd be NAGAM for 2 years, then they'd reset. And then the interest rate would go from 0.9 to 7.9 or something stupid. And the story was, don't worry, you can refi, right? That was the whole story. Oh, yeah.
So to answer your question, values are now kind of where they were pre-boom, 2001, 2002. So but the rents have gone up.
I'm sure.
That's what's incredible. The rates have come down. The rents have continued to go up because even in 2009, people still took that vacation. So in the worst economic times, it's a drivable destination from the Northeast.
Exactly.
So right now that place is on fire because of, people can't travel internationally. They can't go other places.
Yeah. So
rental demand is at an all-time high. Properties, people are buying them. You know, it's at an all-time high right now, but the values are still kind of holding where they are, but the cash flows are through the roof now because the financing you can get.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that a little more. Cause I am starting to believe because again, all of that's true. Plus supply is low.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So,
inventory,
yeah, inventory. So I don't know if I'm afraid or I'm excited because I own a bunch, but we could see a year or two of appreciation take off, like double digits, right? Assuming supply stays low in forbearance. I still think we're hiding pain in this forbearance, but we'll see. But the rest of this year, we could see prices go up. Interest rates never been this low. Rents are higher. Occupancies are up. Why won't prices go up? I mean, seriously, why won't prices go up from here? I don't know.
Yeah, it should. And there's, you're hearing multiple offers and bidding wars and different markets. But so here's the thing to watch. So right now, we're in an election year. So you were talking a little bit about some tax things and all that. We really can't, pontificate on what's going to happen if somebody gets elected or doesn't get elected. But what we can look at is this month, you've got taxes due in 2 days. So anybody who's watching, if you had to pay taxes, you were given until, the 15th of this month. The
IRS.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Right. So everybody's taxes are due. Yep. And the unemployment bonus from the Fed of $600 a week is gone this month.
Yeah.
So I think that could make a huge difference and a big impact if they don't re-up that. There is no talk about extending the tax deadline or re-upping that bonus.
Yeah, they've already said they will not. Actually, this came out last week, or it might have been the week before. Mnuchin said we are not delaying the IRS, the tax date, so that's known. And then on Friday, I think they came out and said that they're looking at extending the unemployment kicker, but they will not be a flat rate $600 for everyone. There will be some kind of caps and all of that. And who knows when that gets done, right? Because they don't even come back from freaking summer break to the 20th, right?
Right. So that's not going to happen. So
It's
that's
just
going to
like,
run out.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
nuts.
that's going to run out. So it'll be interesting to see what are the effects of that, you know, because right now collections across the board, everybody I'm talking to in
Yeah.
pretty much every sector, I think storage might be feeling a little bit of a decline here and there, but most housing, everybody's collecting just like they normally would.
Yeah.
You know, collections are on par from what they usually were. But you know, it's interesting. I mean, even I have to pay taxes. You know, I've waited. You know, I was like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not going to give it to them anytime soon.
No, I
I
sent
thought
mine
they
in
might
yesterday.
extend again. Did you?
Yeah. Yeah, I sent
Yeah,
mine
I got to do mine
Sunday.
today or tomorrow.
Yeah, that check was hard to write. Yeah.
It is. So I was waiting, you know, and I've got mine down to about 10% still. You know,
Still.
there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's just say, yeah, I don't actually mind paying taxes. It's just as long as it's as little as legally required.
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't mind. I'm all right with that. So again, the story, and the reason I wanted to talk about this today is, again, you bet on yourself.
Yeah.
Your network helped you. And then the other one is you found a model that worked, and you weren't afraid to do rinse and repeat, right? You seek
Right.
that out. And
whatever's working for you, do more of it. So that's what I tell people. A lot of people are like, man, I want to go do this.
Go here,
do that.
go
I'm
here,
like,
go
well,
here.
where have you made your money so far? Doing this. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, do more of that.
Yeah.
So you just max that out, then branch out from there. Once that's maxed out, automated, systemized, so that you can just roll. And, you know, to, you know, jump on your point, what I did was I didn't know what I was doing, didn't know how I was going to do it. What I did was I found people that had already been doing what I wanted to do, and I hired them.
Yeah.
I hired them to come work for me, teach me the business, and build my company. So what I didn't have the luxury of back then was like a mentor. There was nobody I could just say, hey, can I pay you to teach me this?
Mm-hmm.
I went and hired them as employees and paid them $100,000 a year each to build this company.
Right.
My president, I was paying $200,000. My CFO was making a couple $100,000.
Wow.
I mean, I was paying big money for mentors,
Right.
you know, and it wasn't in the official capacity. So, you know, that's a real take home right there. If there's something that you want to do, whoever's watching this, and you don't know how to do it, not sure, go hire somebody. You can hire mentors now. You can hire coaches, mentors. You can take training programs. That stuff wasn't around. I had to hire employees.
Right.
You know, and that's another option too. You can hire employees that have been where you've been to help you do what you want to do. And there's a lot of people that have come from, you know, different companies, different organizations, different institutions that you can hire to go to work for you and help you build. And you can see that at the, you know, levels of the multifamily operators, syndicators, where you hire institutional people that work for like a Blackstone or work for like a REIT or something like that to come work with you and help you build your company. You can do it in a home building company. You can do it in a residential property company.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are people out there that have the skill sets to help you get to the next level that you can hire as employees, you know, and help you teach, you know, help teach you the business. So that's what I did. I found people that knew how to do what I wanted to do, the best in the area, that have been doing it at the highest level, and I hired them to come work for me.
That's awesome. Well, do me a favor. How can people reach out to you, get a hold of you, follow you? Because you're doing lots of good things, not only on YouTube, but also in your mentorship program. How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, gregdickerson.com. It's all on gregdickerson.com. I have a YouTube channel that I put stuff out, you know, every day.
Yes,
and
you do.
yeah, go check it out.
All right. Well, thank you very much, man. That's a great story.
Yeah.
$2 million just because you bet on yourself with 10 grand. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, took that leap of faith.
There you go.